Oh, it's Phalenopsis.
Yes.
Okay.
Orchid. So you've got your orchid with aerial roots and a flower spike.
Aerial roots and flower spike.
Yep. This is how your orchid will look after you've bought it and the flowers have died off. Now, to keep this orchid round for next year, you've got to do certain things to it regularly. First of all, you spray your plant with a fine misting spray to keep it just damp.
What are you spraying?
Water.
No,
Rain
sorry,
water?
are you spraying the soil?
You're spraying the plant.
Or everything?
Everything. Paying attention to the aerial roots.
The aerial roots are the long roots which grow down and up, yeah?
Yes.
In fact, aren't they used for gripping onto trees?
When it's in the tree.
When it's in the tree?
Yes. You'll notice that the pot is translucent and that the roots are green. This is because the roots are photosynthesizing.
When they're dry and they need water, they go white, don't they?
They go a pale colour. When you've had your plant and you've been keeping it for a nice long time and all of the flowers have died off of it, they recommend that you cut the flower stalk down to one above the last of the flower scales. Personally, I don't do this because I've found it will branch in other places.
Mm-hmm.
The piece that's dead is obviously a different colour. Cut
What's
it
that?
off.
Pink, that is it. Just show me a little bit closer.
It's pink and it's dehydrated. Cut it just above
One of the knuckles.
one of the joints and leave it. Now, when the plant's growing, you need to keep the dust off of the leaves, so you can use a clean cloth when it's damp and just brush them off. Orchids are easy plants to look after if you don't change anything. They like to keep the moisture and the temperature reasonably constant. They don't like bright sunshine, they don't like darkness, they don't like high winds. They need to be tucked somewhere out of the way. When the plant needs repotting, and it's obvious when there's too many of these aerial roots hanging over, or it's growing at a funny angle, you simply take it out of the pot using a proprietary mixture.
What is it that?
This is orchid compost.
Yeah, okay.
Orchid,
Compost.
and it says orchids there. To make sure for the illiterate, it's got pictures of orchids. And basically you've got a compost which has been made from bark usually of pine trees. Yes?
You ever feel that?
No, you can't see that on screen though. Some makes
It's actually very fluffy, isn't it?
very fluffy. It holds moisture to some extent but lets it freely drain. It's very important that the holes at the bottom aren't obstructed and you don't stand the plant in a dish where it holds water. The water must run through.
Oh, I see.
The easiest way to water them is once a month you stick it in a container that's sufficient depth, top it up with boiled cool water or condensate from air conditioning units, dehumidifiers or rainwater. Buy proper orchid food. And once again, there's a nice picture for you illiterate.
Just turn it ever so slightly so we just take the shine away. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Unfortunately, not being a polyglot, and the instructions are here in Serbian, Bulgarian and Croatian, I just had to look at the numbers. Dilute it.
So what is it though? It's orchid what? It's orchid
fertiliser.
fertiliser in a liquid. Say it again.
Always make it half the strength
Then it's
that the
described.
manufacturer recommends. This is for no particular reason then you use less. Most of it is wasted anyway because the plant absorbs very little when you water it. After a while, if you concentrate onto this piece,
Yeah.
orchids will send out another flower stem.
Let's see if we can get that. Can it be turned? Just ever slightly, get out of the light. So it's quite noticeably a flower stem. It's even black, isn't it, where the roots are tend to be whitery green, don't they?
Yep. Also, from the original flower stem, you may get secondary growths, which is why I say don't do as the book says and cut it right down. Leave them.
And that way you can transplant that to another pot when it's a little bit bigger, can't you?
No.
Or you just carry it on growing from...
This will just carry on growing out and branching out.
Oh, I see.
Eventually this whole stem will die back, but you were then relying on the next stem.
I see.
If you want to come down here, you can see that the roots look distinctly different to the flowering spikes. Let's get that little squirrel over here. Orchids are sensitive. If you, in transportation, when you're buying them, you'll often find that they've got cold somewhere on the root, and all the flower buds will drop off. Don't get hugely devastated by this, because when you're buying a plant, always make sure you're buying one with a new spike.
So the more bits and pieces, the more roots it's got on it, the more
flower spikes.
More flower spikes. It's even a bonus as long as you haven't noticed it and trying to sell it on for much more. So tell me, what's the difference here between a petal and a shoe? And just name what it.
Flower stem. The main stem here, which is tied to a stick just for convenience to keep it upright. These are offshoots, side branches.
They'll grow new
flowers.
New flowers next year.
New flowers, and of course we've got the flower.
Seems there's 5 petals on it. What's the difference?
To a non-botanist, nothing.
Nothing.
Now, if you're going to get technical, go to an Orchid Society website.
So keep it out of the cold. Keep it out of extreme heat. Keep it out of the sun. Don't put it next to the fans.
Nope.
Don't cut it. Don't trim it down like some might say. So when the flowers fall off this,
you end up with this.
How long? Yeah, you'll end up. It'll be with naked flowerness. How long will it be until the next one should come up, do you think? 3, 6, 12 months?
Between 3 and 12 months, depending on your conditions and how good you are at looking after your plant. They just need once a week, a little bit of watering, a little bit of dusting, and the plant will last you years and years and years.
Yeah. In fact, you also said it was very important to have a see-through tub, didn't you?
Got to be.
Did yours come with a see-through tub?
They do.
They do,
yeah.
yeah. Because I suppose a lot of people are going to put these into other pots. Maybe after a year or two, they might put them in another pot, and they might put it in a brown one that they've just got from the garden centre. And then that'll just kill it off, will it?
Die.
Yeah.
If all of the roots are inside, if all of your roots, aerial roots, are outside, and it's getting sufficient feed, which you also can use in a sprayer, you could just about survive, but then all you're using the pot for is to keep the plant upright.
Keep it up straight.
Naturally, these would be growing onto trees.